a few minutes to join. Okay, just give me 1 second. So the book doesn't have page numbers, but it's page 16 from the PDF. It's not loading. Okay. So I'm gonna start from the 80% secret. So actually just the end of page 15 from the PDF. The 80% secret. One of the most common sayings in Japan is hara hashi bu, which is repeated before or after eating and means something like fill your belly to 80%. Ancient wisdom advises against eating until we are full. This is why Okinawans stop eating when they feel their stomachs reach 80% of their capacity, rather than overeating and weaning down their bodies with long digestive processes that accelerate cellular oxidation. Of course, there is no way to know objectively if your stomach is at 80% capacity. The lesson to learn from this saying is that we should stop eating when we are starting to feel full. The extra side dish, the snack we eat when we know in our hearts we really don't need it, the apple pie after lunch, all these will give us pleasure in the short term, but not having them will make us happier in the long term. The way food is served is also important. By presenting their meals on many small plates, the Japanese tend to eat less. A typical meal in a restaurant in Japan is served in 5 plates on a tray, 4 of them very small, and the main dish slightly bigger. Having 5 plates in front of you makes it seem like you are going to eat a lot. But what happens most of the time is that you end up feeling slightly hungry. This is one of the reasons why Westerners in Japan typically lose weight and stay trim. Recent studies by nutritionists reveal that Okinawans consume a daily average of 1,800 to 1,900 calories, compared to 2,200 to 3,300 in the United States, and have a body mass index between 18 and 22, compared to 26 or 27 in the United States. The Okinawa diet is rich in tofu, sweet potatoes, fish 3 times per week, and vegetables, roughly 11 ounces per day. In the chapter dedicated to nutrition, we will see which healthy antioxidant-rich foods are included in this 80%. Moai, connected for life. It is customary in Okinawa to form close bonds within local communities. A moai is an informal group of people with common interests who look out for one another. For many, serving the community becomes part of their Ikigai. The moai has its origins in hard times, when farmers would get together to share best practices and help one another cope with meager harvests. Members of moai make a set monthly contribution to the group. This payment allows them to participate in meetings, dinners, games of go and shogi, Japanese chess, or whatever hobby they have in common. The funds collected by the group are used for activities. But if there is money left over, one member, decided on a rotating basis, receives a set amount from the surplus. In this way, being part of a moai helps maintain emotional and financial stability. If a member of a moai is in financial trouble, he or she can get an advance from the group's savings. While the details of each moai's accounting practices vary according to the group and its economic means, the feeling of belonging and support gives the individual a sense of security and helps increase life expectancy. Following this brief introduction to the topics covered in this book, we look at a few causes of premature aging in modern life, and then explore different factors related to Ikigai. Anti-aging secrets, little things that add up to a long and happy life. Aging's escape velocity. For more than a century, we've managed to add an average of 0.3 years to our life expectancy every year. But what would happen if we had the technology to add a year of life expectancy every year? In theory, we would achieve biological immortality, having reached aging's escape velocity. Aging's escape velocity and the rabbit. Imagine a sign far off in the future with a number on it that represents the age of your death. Every year that you live, you advance closer to the sign. When you reach the sign, you die. Now imagine a rabbit holding the sign and walking to the future. Every year that you live, the rabbit is half a year as far away. After a while, you will reach the rabbit and die. But what if the rabbit could walk at the pace of 1 year for every year of your life? You would never be able to catch the rabbit, and therefore, you would never die. The speed at which the rabbit walks to the future is our technology. The more we advance technology and knowledge of our bodies, the faster we can make the rabbit walk. Aging's escape velocity is the moment at which the rabbit walks at a pace of 1 year per year or faster, and we become immortal. Researchers with an eye to the future, such as Ray Kurzweil and Aubrey de Grey, claim that we'll reach this escape velocity in a matter of decades. Other scientists are less optimistic, predicting that we'll reach a limit, a maximum age we won't be able to surpass, no matter how much technology we have. For example, some biologists assert that our cells stop regenerating after about 120 years. Active mind, youthful body. There is much wisdom in the classic saying, mens sana in corpore sano, a sound mind in a sound body. It reminds us that both mind and body are important, and that the health of one is connected to that of the other. It has been shown that maintaining an active, adaptable mind is one of the key factors in staying young. Having a youthful mind also drives you toward a healthy lifestyle that will slow the aging process. Just a lack of physical exercise has negative effects on our body and mood. A lack of mental exercise is bad for us because it causes our neurons and neural connections to deteriorate, and as a result, reduces our ability to react to our surroundings. This is why it's so important to give your brain a workout. One pioneer in advocating for mental exercise is the Israeli neuroscientist Shlomo Brzezinski, who argues that the brain needs a lot of stimulation in order to stay in shape. As he stated in an interview with Edward Punset for the Spanish television program reads, there is a tension between what is good for someone and what they want to do. This is because people, especially older people, like to do things as they've always done them. The problem is that when the brain develops ingrained habits, it doesn't need to think anymore. Things get done quickly and efficiently on automatic pilot, often in a very advantageous way. This creates a tendency to stick to routines, and the only way of breaking these is to confront the brain with new information. Presented with this new information, the brain creates new connections and is revitalized. This is why it's so important to expose yourself to change, even if stepping outside your comfort zone means feeling a bit of anxiety. The effects of mental training have been scientifically demonstrated. According to Collins Hemingway and Shlomo Bresnitz in their book, Maximum Brain Power, Challenging the Brain for Health and Wisdom, mental training is beneficial on many levels. You begin exercising your brain by doing a certain task for the first time, he writes. And at first, it seems very difficult. But as you learn how to do it, the training is already working. The second time, you realize that it's easier, not harder to do, because you're getting better at it. This has a fantastic effect on a person's mood. In and of itself, it is a transformation that affects not only the results obtained, but also his or her self-image. The description of mental workout might sound a bit formal, but simply interacting with others, playing a game, for example, offers new stimuli and helps prevent the depression that can come with solitude. Our neurons start to age while we are still in our 20s. This process is slowed, however, by intellectual activity, curiosity, and a desire to learn. Dealing with new situations, learning something new every day, playing games, and interacting with other people seem to be essential anti-aging strategies for the mind. Furthermore, a more positive outlook in this regard will yield greater mental benefits. Stress, accused of killing longevity. Many people seem older than they are. Research into the causes of premature aging has shown that stress has a lot to do with it, because the body wears down much faster during periods of crisis. The American Institute of Stress investigated this degenerative process and concluded that most health problems are caused by stress. Researchers at the Heidelberg University Hospital conducted a study in which they subjected a young doctor to a job interview, which they made even more stressful by forcing him to solve complex math problems for 30 minutes. Afterward, they took a blood sample. What they discovered was that his antibodies had reacted to stress the same way they react to pathogens, activating the proteins that trigger an immune response. The problem is that this response not only neutralizes harmful agents, it also damages healthy cells, leading them to age prematurely. The University of California conducted a similar study, taking data and samples from 39 women who had high levels of stress due to the illness of one of their children, and comparing them to samples from women with healthy children and low levels of stress. They found that stress promotes cellular aging by weakening cell structures known as telomeres, which affect cellular regeneration and how our cells age. As the study revealed, the greater the stress, the greater the degenerative effect on cells. How does stress work? These days, people live at frantic pace and in a nearly constant state of competition. At this fever pitch, stress is a natural response to the information being received by the body as potentially dangerous or problematic. Theoretically, this is a useful reaction, as it helps us survive in hostile surroundings. Over the course of our evolution, we have used this response to deal with difficult situations and to flee from predators. The alarm that goes off in our head makes our neurons activate the pituitary gland, which produces hormones that release corticotropin, which in turn circulates through the body via the sympathetic nervous system. The adrenal gland is then triggered to release adrenaline and cortisol. Adrenaline raises our respiratory rate and pulse and prepares our muscles for action, getting the body to react to perceived danger, while cortisol increases the release of dopamine and blood glucose, which is what gets us charged up and allows us to face challenges. Right, so we're going to compare in the table cave dwellers and modern humans. Cave dwellers were relaxed most of the time. Modern humans work most of the time and are alert to any and all threats. Cave dwellers felt stress only in very specific situations. Modern humans are online or waiting for notifications from their cell phones 24 hours a day. For cave dwellers, the threats were real. A predator could end their lives at any moment. For modern humans, the brain associates the ping of a cell phone or an email notification with the threat of a predator. Cave dwellers at high doses of cortisol and adrenaline at moments of danger actually kept the body healthy. But for modern humans, low doses of cortisol flow constantly through the body, with implications for a range of health problems, including adrenal fatigue and chronic fatigue syndrome. These processes are, in moderation, beneficial. They help us overcome challenges in our daily lives. Nonetheless, the stress to which human beings are subjected to today is clearly harmful. Stress has a degenerative effect over time. A sustained state of emergency affects the neurons associated with memory, as well as inhibiting the release of certain hormones, the absence of which can cause depression. Its secondary effects include irritability, insomnia, anxiety, and high blood pressure. As such, though challenges are good for keeping mind and body active, we should adjust our high-stress lifestyles to avoid the premature aging of our bodies. Be mindful about reducing stress. Whether or not the threats we perceive are real, stress is an easily identifiable condition that not only causes anxiety, but is also highly psychosomatic, affecting everything from our digestive system to our skin. This is why prevention is so important in avoiding the toll that stress takes on us, and why many experts recommend practicing mindfulness. The central premise of this stress reduction method is focusing on the self, noticing our responses, even if they are conditioned by habit, in order to be fully conscious of them. In this way, we control with the here and now and limit thoughts that tend to spiral out of control. We have to learn to turn off the autopilot that's steering us in an endless loop. We all know people who snack while talking on the phone or watching the news. You ask them if the omelette they just ate had onion in it, and they can't tell you, says Roberto Alcibar, who abandoned his fast-paced life to become a certified instructor of mindfulness after an illness threw him into a period of acute stress. One way to reach a state of mindfulness is through meditation, which helps filter the information that reaches us from the outside world. It can also be achieved through breathing exercises, yoga, and body scans. Achieving mindfulness involves a gradual process of training, but with a bit of practice, we can learn to focus our mind completely, which reduces stress and helps us live longer. So before I continue with the book, I actually wanted to ask all of you a question. So, this book is obviously talking about the impact of stress right now and how we can reduce the amount of stress. Is there anything that you guys do to reduce the amount of stress in your life? Something that helps you feel better? I think it'll be good to share it just because I'm sure we all live quite stressful lives. So I can go first. I have a young child. He's 8 months old. And something that really helps me when I'm stressed is just playing with him, being silly with him. And, obviously that really helps to forget any kind of work issues, any other challenges, any relationship issues. So luckily, right now he's at an age where when I'm with him, I feel completely de-stressed. Anyone else would like to share what helps them deal with stress?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to suggest that connecting with others and listening to music.
Yeah, that is really great. I also love listening to music when I'm stressed. Definitely helps.
I love
Any
talking to children. I love
yeah.
talking to small children. I stay on the ground floor, and many of the children, like they come, they call me chocolate auntie because I always keep giving them chocolates. And
Uh,
whenever I'm stressed, I love playing with them. That is the best stress buster.
yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
That's lovely. Anyone else want to contribute anything that helps them? Okay, cool. Let's move on then. Sorry, did someone want to say something?
No, it's okay. I just wanted to ask if Nikhil would say something. Himaja left, so I just was wondering why. Just looking at it. It's okay. Go ahead. Okay,
Okay, sure.
my way of stress busting is I love to chant. So I listen to music and I chant God's name and meditate, of course.
Nice. Meditation is great. Um, okay. Cool. So let's continue with the book then. So, a little stress is good for you. While sustained, increased stress is a known enemy of longevity and both mental and physical health. Low levels of stress have, however, been shown to be beneficial. After observing a group of test subjects for more than 20 years, Dr. Howard S. Friedman, a psychology professor at the University of California, Riverside, discovered that people who maintained a low level of stress, who faced challenges and put their heart and soul into their work in order to succeed, lived longer than those who chose a more relaxed lifestyle and retired earlier. From this, he concluded that a small dose of stress is a positive thing, as those who live with low levels of stress tend to develop healthier habits, smoke less, and drink less alcohol. Given this, it is not surprising that many of the supercentenarians, people who live to be 110 or more, whom we'll meet in this book, talk about having lived intense lives and working well into old age. A lot of sitting will age you. In the Western world in particular, the rise in sedentary behavior has led to numerous diseases such as hypertension and obesity, which in turn affect longevity. Spending too much time seated at work or at home not only reduces muscular and respiratory fitness, but also increases appetite and curbs the desire to participate in activities. Being sedentary can lead to hypertension, imbalanced eating, cardiovascular disease, osteoporosis, and even certain kinds of cancer. Recent studies have shown a connection between a lack of physical activity and the progressive distortion of telomeres in the immune system, which ages those cells and in turn the organism as a whole. This is a problem at all life stages, not only among adults. Sedentary children suffer from high rates of obesity and all its associated health issues and risks, which is why it's so important to develop a healthy and active lifestyle at an early age. It's easy to be less sedentary. It just takes a bit of effort and a few changes to your routine. We can access a more active lifestyle that makes us feel better inside and out. We just have to add a few ingredients to our everyday habits. Walk to work or just go on a walk for at least 20 minutes each day. Use your feet instead of an elevator or escalator. This is good for your posture, your muscles, and your respiratory system, among other things. Participate in social or leisure activities so that you don't spend too much time in front of the television. Replace your junk food with fruit and you'll have less of an urge to snack and more nutrients in your system. Get the right amount of sleep. 7 to 9 hours is good, but any more than that makes us lethargic. Play with children or pets or join a sports team. This not only strengthens the body, but also stimulates the mind and boosts self-esteem. Be conscious of your daily routine in order to detect harmful habits and replace them with more positive ones. By making these small changes, we can begin to renew our bodies and minds and increase our life expectancy. A model's best kept secret. Though we age both externally and internally, both physically and mentally, one of the things that tells us the most about people's age is their skin, which takes on different textures and colors according to the processes going on beneath the surface. Most of those who make their living as models claim to sleep between 9 and 10 hours the night before a fashion show. This gives their skin a taut, wrinkle-free appearance and a healthy, radiant glow. Science has shown that sleep is a key anti-aging tool because when we sleep, we generate melatonin, a hormone that occurs naturally in our bodies. The pineal gland produces it from the neurotransmitter serotonin, according to our diurnal and nocturnal rhythms. And it plays a role in our sleep and waking cycles. A powerful antioxidant, melatonin, helps us live longer and also offers the following benefits. It strengthens the immune system. It contains an element that protects us against cancer. It promotes the natural production of insulin. It slows the onset of Alzheimer's disease. It helps prevent osteoporosis and fight heart disease. For all these reasons, melatonin is a great ally in preserving youth. It should be noted, however, that melatonin production decreases after age 30. We can compensate for this by eating a balanced diet and getting more calcium, soaking up a moderate amount of sun each day, getting enough sleep, avoiding stress, alcohol, tobacco, and caffeine, all of which make a good night's rest all of which make it harder to get a good night's rest, depriving us of the melatonin we need. Experts are trying to determine whether artificially stimulating production of melatonin might help slow the aging process, which would confirm the theory that we already carry the secret to longevity within us. Anti-aging attitudes. The mind has tremendous power over the body and how quickly it ages. Most doctors agree that the secret to keeping the body young is keeping the mind active, a key element of Ikigai, and in not caving in when we face difficulties throughout our lives. One study conducted at Yeshiva University found that the people who live the longest have two dispositional traits in common: a positive attitude and a high degree of emotional awareness. In other words, those who face challenges with a positive outlook and are able to manage their emotions are already well on their way towards longevity. A stoic attitude, serenity in the face of a setback, can also help keep you young, as it lowers anxiety and stress levels and stabilizes behavior. This can be seen in the greater life expectancies of certain cultures with unhurried, deliberate lifestyles. Many centenarians and supercentenarians have similar profiles. They have had full lives that were difficult at times, but they knew how to approach these challenges with a positive attitude and not be overwhelmed by the obstacles they faced. Alexander Imik, who in 2014 became the world's oldest living man at age 111, knew he had good genes, but understood that other factors contributed too. The life you live is equally or more important for longevity, he said in an interview with Reuters after being added to Guinness World Records in 2014. An ode to longevity. During our stay in Ogimi, the village that holds the Guinness record for longevity, a woman who was about to turn 100 years old sang the following song for us in a mixture of Japanese and the local dialect. To keep healthy and have a long life, eat just a little of everything with relish. Go to bed early, get up early, and then go out for a walk. We live each day with serenity and we enjoy the journey. To keep healthy and have a long life, we get on well with all of our friends. Spring, summer, fall, winter, we happily enjoy all the seasons. The secret is not to get distracted by how old the fingers are. From the fingers to the head and back once again, if you keep moving with your fingers working, 100 years will come to you. We can now use our fingers to turn the page to the next chapter, where we will look at the close relationship between longevity and discovering our life's mission. From logotherapy to Ikigai, how to live longer and better by finding your purpose. What is logotherapy? A colleague once asked Viktor Frankl to define his school of psychology in a single phrase, to which Frankl replied, well, in logotherapy, the patient sits up straight and has to listen to things that are, on occasion, hard to hear. The colleague had just described psychoanalysis to him in the following terms. In psychoanalysis, the patient lies down on a couch and tells you things that are, on occasion, hard to say. Frankl explains that one of the questions he would ask his patients was, why do you not commit suicide? Usually, the patient found good reasons not to and was able to carry on. What, then, does logotherapy do? The answer is pretty clear. It helps you find reasons to live. Logotherapy pushes patients to consciously discover their life's purpose in order to confront their neuroses. Their quest to fulfill their destiny then motivates them to press forward, breaking the mental chains of the past and overcoming whatever obstacles they encounter along the way. Something to live for. A study conducted by Frankl in his Vienna clinic found that among both patients and personnel, around 80% believe that human beings needed a reason for living, and around 60% felt they had someone or something in their lives worth dying for. The search for meaning. The search for a purpose becomes a personal driving force that allowed Frankl to achieve his goals. The process of logotherapy can be summarized in these 5 steps. A person feels empty, frustrated, or anxious. The therapist shows him that what he is feeling is the desire to have a meaningful life. The patient discovers his life's purpose at that particular point in time. Of his own free will, the patient decides to accept or reject that destiny. And number 5, the newfound passion for life helps him overcome obstacles and sorrows. Frankl himself would live and die for his principles and ideals. His experiences as a prisoner at Auschwitz showed him that everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. It was something he had to go through alone, without any help, and it inspired him for the rest of his life. 10 differences between psychoanalysis and logotherapy. Psychoanalysis. The patient reclines on a couch like a patient. Logotherapy. The patient sits facing the therapist who guides him or her without passing judgment. Psychoanalysis is retrospective. It looks to the past. Logotherapy looks towards the future. Psychoanalysis is introspective. It analyzes neurosis. Logotherapy does not delve into the patient's neurosis. Psychoanalysis, the drive is toward pleasure. Logotherapy, the drive is toward purpose and meaning. Psychoanalysis centers on psychology. Logotherapy includes a spiritual dimension. Psychoanalysis works on psychogenic neurosis. Logotherapy also works on neurogenic or existential neurosis. Psychoanalysis analyzes the unconscious origin of conflicts, the instinctual dimension. Logotherapy deals with conflicts when and where they arise, spiritual dimension. Psychoanalysis limits itself to the patient's instincts. Logotherapy also deals with spiritual realities. Psychoanalysis is fundamentally incompatible with faith. Logotherapy is compatible with faith. Psychoanalysis seeks to reconcile conflicts and satisfy impulses and instincts. Logotherapy seeks to help the patient find meaning in his life and satisfy his moral principles. Okay, so I actually think this is a good place to stop. We have now a few minutes if anyone has any questions, anyone wants to share anything, something that they might have enjoyed reading in the book, something that they didn't agree with. Does anyone want to share any thoughts?
Devama, Nikhil, and Taranjit, ma'am, you can go last. Devama and Nikhil, I want you to speak something. What did you like? What did you not like? What Anushka just read? Because what she read is so good. I've been thinking from the minute I've started hearing.
Yes, ma'am. They were speaking about the de-aging concept. We can generate by sleeping. It generate a melatonin, which makes which makes our body de-aging, and it strengthens our immune system, and by sleeping 9, they were speaking about models. They sleep 9 hours to make their skin glow and feel fresh, ma'am. And yes, ma'am, that's it.
Do you think that we could all make some changes in our lives to, like, was there something that, it said about being more active, more steps, talks about kind of, keeping our mental, the mental side of.
Ma'am, we can make that by sleeping, ma'am. Sleep gives us more freshness after waking up.
Yeah, for sure.
Then,
Anyone else want to say anything?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
That tells about how to reduce stress. They tell some points I like so much. Uh, one point is uh, do not eat junk foods, eat healthy foods. I like that point, ma'am.
Yeah.
And another point to reduce stress is uh, right sleep. Do not sleep over. Uh, do not sleep extra sleep. Do not. I like that point, ma'am.
Okay, great. So I guess there's there's a lot of changes that we can all make to our lives. I'm sure we can all sleep more, eat better, be more active. I know I definitely can. Taranjeet, did you want to add something?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, the points that have been given, especially working, like
Mm-hmm.
we should keep working. That is very important. Like at the end, like the author has written, working fingers. That means we should keep working so that our body doesn't age. Sitting at one place, the science has now discovered that the more you sleep, the more you sit, more you age. And Ayurveda, or say the ancient Indian scriptures from ancient times, they say that we should get up with the sun and sleep with the sun. So that always helps our body. And there are these things have been repeated in this book again.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, thank you all for sharing, the parts that you like from the book. I think it's a great book so far. I'm enjoying reading it.
Yes.
Cool. Well, have a good night. Hopefully you all get 9 hours or 7 to 9 hours of sleep tonight. And then, yeah, take care. Bye.
Thank you, Anushka, for reading for us.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night. Good night.